You thought NFL players were rich? Wait until you see what they wear on the field. One player even wore an article worth an average American's annual salary, then sadly lost it during gameplay. One other popular player even wore a jersey worth $1 million. It was so expensive it led to an FBI investigation. But we'll get to that later, because first off, we have Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel. The 49ers wide receiver wore one of the most expensive cleats in NFL history when he faced the Los Angeles Rams in October of 2022. Want to guess just how much they cost? $2,000. I mean, you could get a decent pair of cleats for just $100, but no. Deebo just had to go and get a customized pair of Air Jordan 1 low cleats adorned with crystals. The design took cues from a pair of Air Jordan 1 low shoes that were part of a collaboration with luxury brand Dior. But looks like the cleats worked their charm too, because in that game, the 49ers dominated the Rams, winning 24-9, and one of the main reasons for their offensive outburst was, you guessed it, Deebo Samuel. The All-Pro wide receiver caught 6 passes for 115 yards and scored a touchdown. Sauce Gardner. But at least Deebo's cleats had a functional contribution to his game, unlike this next player, whose article was just worn to flex on everyone else. I'm talking about Sauce Gardner, who wears a $30,000 diamond grill on his teeth. He has it on everywhere, commercials, interviews, while playing video games. People were starting to notice it too, calling them permanent grills. And of course, he wears them when he's on the football field, which is why it's on the list in the first place. But at least he didn't lose something so expensive while playing. Same can't be said for this next guy though. Dez Bryant. Remember the guy who I said lost your annual salary out on the field? Well, it was Dez Bryant. Bryant owns a pair of diamond earrings worth $50,000, and much like Gardner, he wears them on the football field as well. But it was in one game against the Giants in 2010 that Bryant lost his precious earrings. He laid out for a pass thrown deep into Giants territory, but after catching the ball, he was challenged by an opposing player. It was eventually ruled as an incomplete pass, but Bryant soon realized after the game that he had something far more serious to worry about. Because on that play, one of those earrings fell out from the impact of his head hitting the turf. Luckily for him, a security guard found it and returned the accessory, but as unbelievable as it sounds, that was the second time he was losing it. He had lost it earlier in another game after being tackled to the ground, and even then it was found by a security guard and returned to him. I mean, what can I say? NFL security guards must be very stand-up men. Bryant's just lucky I wasn't the one who found it. I mean, it would have been a whole different story. Tom Brady. But anyway, his earrings are no match for what OG Tom Brady wore on his final professional NFL game. In the 2023 playoffs, Tom Brady played the last game of his NFL career for the Buccaneers against the Cowboys. And even if his team lost 34-14 in that game, Brady managed to throw a career-high 66 passes for 351 yards. The next year, those Buccaneer pants he wore during the game were auctioned off for $89,000. Given that Tom Brady is, well, Tom Brady, it's not really a surprise that something he wore on his groin became worth so much. But of course, no one knew at the time it was going to be worth almost $100,000. Eli Manning. Neither did anyone think this helmet worn by Eli Manning would be worth anything more than a few $100. It was Super Bowl 42, the New York Giants versus an undefeated Patriots team who had Tom Brady. Now, the Patriots were on an 18-0 streak, so naturally, the results of their matchup with an inferior Giants team wasn't too hard to predict. I mean, the Patriots were winning the Super Bowl and making history as undefeated Super Bowl winners. And it was starting to look that way too, because even if both teams scored back and forth, Brady threw a touchdown to put his team ahead with less than 3 minutes of playtime left. Many people figured the game was over for the Giants, but that was until Eli Manning kept moving his team down the field and made a crazy pass that led to one of the greatest catches ever seen. And a few moments later, he threw a touchdown that shocked everyone. Even I couldn't believe it. Believe me, I've seen some crazy touchdowns. Anyway, that Super Bowl turned out to be a fairy tale underdog story with the Giants defeating the Patriots 17-14. Eli had almost single-handedly ended their potentially historic season in the last minutes of the game, and his blue helmet from the game became the most expensive any player ever wore when it sold for $130,000. But what Odell Beckham Jr. wore on his feet during Super Bowl 56 was worth much more than themselves. Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. sported a one-of-a-kind, custom-made pair of cleats worth over $200,000 during the Super Bowl, featuring a crazy number of diamonds. The cleats were made by the renowned shoe designer, the Shoe Surgeon. It took over 100 hours making the cleats that didn't just have his team colors over python skin, but also included the Nike swoosh, which was made of over 1,500 diamonds. The diamonds had a total carat weight of 25 carats and also bore 150 grams of 14-karat yellow gold, making the cleats the most expensive on the planet. And admittedly, it would have been a true shame if, after turning up in such style for the big event, Odell Beckham's team didn't win the Super Bowl. But he was saved that disgrace as the Rams won 23-20 over the Cincinnati Bengals, with Odell scoring the first touchdown, even if he did leave the game early with a knee injury. But hey, let's not let that get in the way of a good story, Though it does seem like for every player rocking a ridiculously expensive pair of cleats, there's another player with expensively shiny teeth. Want to guess who it is this time? Justin Jefferson. It's Justin Jefferson. The Vikings wide receiver has custom implanted silver grills in his teeth. His grills are fitted delicately to look like braces rather than a mere fashion statement. But you'll never guess how much they cost, a whopping $200,000. But really, an accessory that expensive should be nothing to the man, as Jefferson is reported to have a net worth of $9 million. Having the most expensive set of teeth in the NFL, not only does he wear them during interviews, but also flexes the grills during games as well. I mean, who needs a mouthguard when your teeth are worth more than most people's cars? Tom Brady's Super Bowl jersey. But at number 1 is, of course, Tom Brady, who wore something worth over $1 million. The story of the item eventually became so controversial it got the FBI involved. It was his Super Bowl 51 Patriots jersey. And of course, an item as simple as a jersey wouldn't be that expensive if there weren't a story behind it, now would it? That Super Bowl meant more to Brady than any other in the past because it was the first time his mom was able to watch him in person after being diagnosed with cancer. Now, Brady naturally wanted to give his mom a show, but his squad got dominated by the Falcons right from the start, and by halftime, the score was 21-3. From there, things got even worse for the Patriots. Then, like a good movie plot, when everyone least expected it, Brady seemingly activated GOAT mode, probably inspired by his mom in the stands. Can't really say. But he threw one touchdown after another and eventually went so crazy that he tied things up with the Falcons. All that remained was stealing the win, and he did just that. Brady ran the perfect play, securing perhaps the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history. However, that wasn't the craziest thing to happen that night. Something very shady was about to happen after the game. Brady took off his jersey and gave it to a team staff member for safekeeping. But after celebrating with the rest of the team, he returned to find the jersey was missing. It had been stolen. He was devastated because the memorabilia was expected to be worth 7 figures due to the level of interest from collectors. The FBI soon got involved and were working to figure out the suspect. The entire locker room celebration was filmed, and this one media dude seemed a little suspicious because he was constantly looking at the cameras and eventually left the scene with the bag he didn't come in with. He was later identified as Martin Ortega. FBI tracked Ortega all the way to his home in Mexico, where they found the jersey and returned it to Brady. As for Ortega, he was facing a felony theft charge and 10 years in prison, but Tom Brady was willing to just let it go and didn't press charges, saying he didn't want to ruin someone's life over a jersey. He had recovered his $1 million jersey, and Ortega apologized anyway. Needless to say, he also got fired by the newspaper company he was working with. But considering that it could have been worse, I'd say he was pretty thankful. And that's a wrap, folks. From flashy teeth to sweaty jerseys, those are the most expensive items ever worn on an NFL field. Did we leave any out? Let us know down in the comments. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more of our content. Hasta luego, whatever that means.